friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be trying something a little bit different. Yes, so instead of boring blah 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 makeup, we're going to try out spooky stories and SFX. Yay! So let's get in.
This story starts in a distant, misbegotten Eastern European country. One dark and stormy night, not too long ago. Lit up by candles, the basement laboratory of Dr. Zero was a grim scene. Several bodies lay uncovered by the burlap sacks they had been brought here by, their flesh bluish and clammy, with the skin on some splitting and peeling as the rot set in. "You fools!" Dr. Zero exclaimed, his hands flailing about in frustration. "These will not do!" "But doctor, we went through great trouble getting you these bodies. We had to pay off the short little man was interrupted by two hands clenching his shirt and yanking him forwards. Zero's face was twisted in an angry snarl. "They're too decomposed, too far gone. I wanted the freshly deceased." And with a shove, Zero sent the grave robber tumbling back into his reeking delivery. Struggling to get up from the corpses, the robber cursed as part of a face came off in his hand. You're sick! You're out of your mind! Disgusting! Withdraw! Steal your own corpses!" And with that, the robber left Zero behind. Once out of earshot, the mutterings began. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. My serum, it's taken years to perfect, countless hours of toiling away in secret, but it works." Walking over to a shrouded cage, Zero yanked the top off of it. What was once a cat hissed and spat at the grinning doctor, its hairless body mottled and gangrenous. Rats in various stages of decay squeaked and squealed in feral delight. "I can bring back the dead," Zero whispered. "I have done it. I have done what countless men of science and sorcery have attempted over the centuries, only to fail. But they can't be too far gone, my corpses." Slowly moving away from the rusted cages, the creatures within become still again. Suspended from a hook in the wall was a small bird cage, and inside of it, a dove. The creature cocked its head at Zero and chirped, almost as if in response. If they're too far gone, they come back wrong, their minds broken and twisted. What is the point of being rewarded with life if madness comes packaged with? Isn't that right, my feathery friend? Beneath the shade of an ancient tree, Zero overlooked the cemetery, more specifically, the group of people who had gathered for the funeral of Sophia Cortez. There were around 20 people, dressed in black, all heartbroken and weeping, save for one individual, a man who Zero understood to be her former husband, Elliot, a man so dumbstruck with grief he had gone mute. Zero had been lurking among the tombstones for weeks, studying the newly interred and gathering as much information about them, all in the pursuit of finding the perfect subject for his formula. It had not been easy. The very reason for his hiring the fat man was because the corpses not only needed to be fresh, but also not autopsied or badly damaged. And with his friends in all those low places, he had been ideally suited for the task. Well, on paper at least. There were several candidates that had piqued his interest, but Sophia, well, she was perfect. Sophia Cortez died of a lethal asthma attack not 12 hours ago, She was a member of the Church of St. Lucius, who believed in swiftly burying their dead and were not fond of autopsies or other funerary practices such as embalming. No, she was going into the earth exactly the way she perished, and it perfectly suited Zero. He waited until nightfall before he snuck off towards her grave, shovel in hand. The morbid task did not physically suit the doctor, but the idea of not being able to satisfy his grim obsessions drove him on. As the shovel struck the coffin lid, a light blinded Zero. "You! What are you doing there?" It was Elliot. The fool, mute and withdrawn during the funeral, had finally become undone, and his grief had overwhelmed him. Zero could see red eyes, pale skin, his hands trembling as he held the flashlight. I'll alert the police. Have you hung, you fiend, you ghoul?" Zero emerged from the hole, shovel still in hand, and calmly approached the grieving man. "Easy now, young man. There's no need for that," Zero said in a calm voice. No need? No need? You are digging up my beautiful Sophia." With one motion, the doctor struck out with his shovel and split open the man's skull, and with a thud, the man fell to his knees and keeled over. Zero, looking around if anyone else had seen his gruesome deeds, sighed and began the process of ferrying two bodies off to his lab. The rats had once again begun their chattering and squeaking. The cat thing had sucked in air and was hissing vilely as Zero prepared Sophia's corpse. Even the pigeon was flapping its wings in distress. The only creature not joining in on the macabre orchestra was the deceased Elliot, who had been thrown onto the pile with the other corpses the fat man had brought. The chamber was ripe with the foul smells of decay, but Zero only vaguely noticed it. He had lit incense sticks, and up until now they had proven more than sufficient at hiding the stench. A vast array of test tubes, funnels, and beakers filled with liquids bubbled away on the table as Sophia was placed onto a gurney and strapped in. Zero was nervous but excited. It was finally time. Walking over to a large Florence flask, Zero took a dropper and sampled the fluid, its greenish glow illuminating his face. "It's time. Today I become God." Zero emptied the liquid into the mouth of Sophia and stood back. Nothing happened. Terror gripped Zero. What if he was wrong? What if he miscalculated? What if the convulsions came, fierce and brutal, as Sophia returned to the land of the living? He had seen the same thing happen to the other subjects. The cat had even clawed a chunk from Zero's arm. It was something akin to reverse rigor mortis. He had no idea what brought it on, but had enough sense to secure the subjects for their own and his safety. Once the convulsion ceased, Sophia opened her eyes. "Sophia?" Zero said as he approached the girl and began loosening her restraints. "Do you remember who you are, Sophia? Can you hear me?" He helped her sit upright and examined her. Her eyes reacted to light. Her breathing, although slightly labored, was there. Her heart was beating normally, and her reflexes were still intact. He was so entranced by his studying that he didn't notice the silence that had fallen across the lab. All the animals had gone quiet and were watching the new addition to their ranks, almost as if knowing what had happened. A few moments pass before he realizes that he had done it. He had reversed death. "I've done it!" he proclaimed loudly, thrusting his fists into the air. As the words leave his lips, Sophia's eyes snap onto a shape beyond the table with the bubbling chemicals. It was a man she had loved. As recollection came rushing back to her like a bolt of lightning, so did her asthma. With a jolt, her lungs seized up and Sophia began sputtering, her sounds of suffering joining the restartled bestial orchestra. "No, no, no!" the panicking doctor screamed as Sophia died for the second time that week. "This will not do! I am a god!" Quickly he reached for the serum again, filling the dropper. He would not be made a fool of. He will reach the heights which he dreamed of. He would be the master of death. Swiftly, just as before, moments passed, but unlike before, Sophia was not strapped down when the convulsions came. Hands clamped down on the doctor's throat, and with a vice-like grip, the twitching Sophia began strangling Zero. With a crash, Zero and Sophia smashed into a table behind them, sending chemicals flying all over. His fingers dug into Sophia's iron grip, trying to loosen it, but to no avail. Flailing legs kicked out and sent the Florence flasks flying, the serum splashing on the corpses Zero had neglected to dispose of. The embraced pair fell down, rolled once, twice, and before Zero could get his bearings, the stench of decay filled his nostrils. They were on the corpse pile. As he began to grow faint, he could feel them twitch and writhe beneath him. The serum had become reanimating the corpses. Soon, more hands began grasping at Zero, tightening around his wrists, ankles, and legs. "No, no, I was a god!" Zero tried to scream, but could not. The last thing the doctor felt was the pop of his neck giving way to a deadly grip.
So if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up and maybe even boop that subscribe button and maybe even that notification bell. It would really help me. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and if there's any other looks that you'd like me to do. Okay, love you. Bye.